The Olivier Giroud story is quite interesting because, you know, the way Koeman presents it was...
He was almost through the door.
Yeah, but did he do enough himself to convince the player?
Right.
Let's just put that out there. Did he do enough to convince the player that he should come to Everton? I think there are things that haven't come out about that story yet, which are quite interesting. And I think with Allardyce, personally, I think he's probably their fallback at the moment. I think he's the one they're looking at and thinking, well, we'll go to Sam Allardyce if we can't sort out who we really, really want the next 2 weeks before the international break's over. And I think Marco Silva is quite an interesting one for them. I think they're quite interested in him. I think it'd be very, very, very difficult to get him out of Watford at the present time. But I'm not quite sure Allardyce is the 100% first choice as things stand.
Right, you can't tease us like that. If there's other stuff that Koeman
I think the Giroud story is quite interesting because it's been presented that you know, Giroud was in the building and then suddenly it didn't happen. Well, why didn't it happen? You know, and I think that Giroud, it's been talked about saying Giroud wanted to stay at Arsenal. I think Giroud was persuadable to go to Everton, and I'm not quite sure.
I completely agree that
enough was done to persuade him.
Again, my understanding was as well he was desperate to leave because, like a group of other players thinking about the World Cup next summer as well. I know Marseille had a really good shot at trying to get him as well, but the fact was he was available to move last summer, and as Jason says, did Ronald Koeman do enough to convince him that Everton and Goodison Park was a place for him this season?
And sometimes manager has to do that. You know, you can say the director of football or the chief executive or the owner, but sometimes it has to be the manager also who takes responsibility for actually persuading a player to come.
Yeah, and of course, you think about the kind of player that Giroud is. I mean, or an individual, clearly thrives on confidence.
Yeah.
And someone who believes in him.
Yeah.
And if somebody's not going to pick up the phone and say, look, we really want you.
And also, to be fair to Olivier Giroud, he's at Arsenal.
Yeah.
He's at a big football club. You know, it's difficult to walk away from Arsenal, even though he probably wasn't necessarily first choice all the time. But he played enough games at Arsenal. He's a big player at Arsenal. To walk away from Arsenal and go to Everton is a big decision to make. And I just don't think Everton did enough collectively to persuade him to go. And I think Ronald Koeman takes part of the blame for that.
The one question that I suppose the potential appointment of Sam Allardyce to Everton has led to is it progressive enough? And what does it do to those managers on the fringes who are still trying to make their name on the managerial ladder? As you know, you can see here, the usual suspects in the Metro. It's written on the back pages. Old faces lined up as West Ham turn to Moyes, and Allardyce holds talks over Everton job. Andy Dunn writes about it in the Mirror in his column piece. Actually, he talks about Sam Allardyce. First of all, by, I suppose, starting with who's there at the minute in David Unsworth, saying, do they really think that Unsworth is going to turn things around? If so, on what basis? Success with the under-23s and being a passionate Evertonian? Well, maybe the romantic streak in the boardroom wanted Unsworth to succeed. As if it were some sort of ancient history, people forget that Allardyce had Bolton operating at the top end of the Premier League table. It wouldn't just be an appointment for the parlous present, he'd also be one for the future.